Hello everybody, hope you find yourself having a great day. Today we're going to model a home or garage structure building in Cinema 4D using simply a cube. And we're going to manipulate its surfaces and convert or transform a cube into a building structure. So let's get started. Let's fire up Cinema 4D. And what we're going to do is we're going to begin by creating a cube. And with the cube, we're going to give it a general shape of a building structure in height, width, and length. We're going to raise this up so that it's on the ground plane, or give or take, so that it's close. And what do we need to do to proceed from here? Let's give our building a foundation. And that's going to be something that's representative of the concrete substructure that it sits on, including a driveway. So I'm going to begin by selecting, make sure I have my cube selected, and I'm going to hit C on the keyboard. It's going to make this editable. Then I'm going to grab my line selection tool, and while it's selected, I am going to rotate its modify its axis of rotation. Select this, and we're going to click rotate so that it's nice and perpendicular to the ground. And let's take a look at that just to verify it. And it looks like it is. So we're going to disable the axis modification tool, select our move tool. At this point we're going to control click and drag this out to extend it so that it would be representative of maybe an area of concrete that was in front of the building. Alright, so now what do we need to do? We need to give this some thickness, so we're going to look beneath it all. We're going to select both faces with our face selection tool. Click, then shift click, and you can see that we've got them selected. We're going to take this vertical axis tool, and we're going to again press control click and drag down to give it some thickness, so that we appear to be sitting on a concrete slab. Now this normal is blue. If I use my face modification or selection tool, you can see when it's selected it's blue. That just means that the normals are reversed. So what I'm going to do is while it's selected, I'm going to right click it and tell it to reverse the normals. So now you'll see that its underside is blue and the top side is orange. You want them to be orange. Alright, so we've taken our surface, we've created one down, we've drove it down and created an extra face on the bottom, but now we've got this which would be to appear to be a hollow box. We're going to leave that just for now. Later on we're going to put a floor inside this building. So we need to do a couple of things. We need to create a roof structure, and we're going to create overhang soffit areas for the roof. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select these outer edges. And again, I'm going to rotate their origin of rotation. Select your modification tool for your axis modification. We're going to rotate its axis. And it looks to be about a 45-degree rotation. We're going to disable the axis modification. And at this point, we're going to control click, drag it out. What might be about a foot or two in reference to a building size, something about like that. We're going to do it on this side. Need to rotate its rotational axis. Select your modification tool for your axis. And we're going to shift rotate and rotate that guy up about 45 degrees. And that looks about right. Disable our axis modification tool. Select our move tool, and again we're going to try to match this again in relation to what might be about 2 foot out. So I'm going to control click and I'm going to drag that guy out to something about like that. Just get a visual on it, and it looks to be about the same. Alright, so what we're going to do now is we're going to take our line selection tool. We're going to click all of these outer lines by shift clicking. I'm going to get them all the outer ones. We're going to, once we've got them all selected, just verify it. We're going to control click and drag up about what might be about 4 or 6 inches in relation to the size of a building. Okay. Now we're going to take our line selection tool, deselect everything. I'm going to select this line, delete it with your, whoops. I'm going to select just this line, delete on our keyboard. That's going to delete that upper face for us. Okay, so we've got, actually we deleted that soft fascia board, so we must have had something more selected. It's grabbing more for me. Let's try this. We're going to grab these corner points, just the corner points, shift click, make sure you get the top because there's 2 of them really close there, so we want just the top ones. Shift click, verify you got all the corners, all the tops. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to press control click and we're going to drag. Actually, we're going to bridge these. So while you've got them all selected, right click bridge, choose bridge from your menu, and we're going to select one, go to the next, select the other, and go to the next. Make sure we got all the top ones. Just need to zoom in just to verify that. Sometimes you get ones that are close and you get the unintended points. Okay, so we've got that, and we span that roof so that we've got a roof surface that's one face. So we're going to get our live selection tool, select that face. Its normal is reversed, so we're going to right click it, reverse its normals. Guys, pause this if you need to, rewind. This is more, not necessarily a tutorial, but more of an exercise just to get used to these tools and how they react, and just some basics so that you get comfortable with this, because once you achieve the basics, there's not much that you can't model by adding vertices, removing points, manipulating faces. So just keep that in mind. Pause whenever you need to. So where we've got our face selected, we're going to right click it and choose knife. Now this knife will work in a couple of ways. We can click and drag a line, or we can try loop mode. I'm going to see if that's going to work for me, and it looks like it will. What I need to be is I need to be in the center of this roof where the top of the pitch would be. So I'm going to get that about right. And this doesn't have to be precise, but if you're closer you are to the center, the better symmetry you're going to have. So I click once I've got that, go back into live selection mode. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to deselect everything. I'm going to select only that center line that I just cut. All right. And at this point, I'm going to just drag that up to get the pitch of my roof, however I'd like it. Now, that'll give you something more along the lines of a shed. If I keep going up with it, more of the line of a house. And I could even get a little more extreme. I could bring it all the way up and get something more like either an A-frame height home or a barn or something of that nature. But I'm gonna bring this back down, something about like that for a home. You may see some dark shading happening here. See, let me drag this up and down. You'll see how I'm getting that dark shading happening. That's just that Phong angle in effect here, and we can modify that. So I'm going to put that again about like that, and I think that's going to be suitable. So I can come over here and select that Phong tag, and I can adjust some numbers. Let me get in a way where it's prevalent. A little bit of darkness here. I'm going to knock that down to about 20, hit enter, and you see how it changed that Phong angle. See, I could do something like 5 or 2, something like that. Let me try 30. I can go back up to 80. And you see how that it almost gives a dithered effect to it. I'm going to knock that back down to about 20, and you see it took that right away. Hopefully you can see that. Sometimes video quality on YouTube is not good enough that you'd be able to see that, but play with that Phong angle like we have here, and you'll be able to get rid of some of those anomalies you see. Alright, so what do we need to do next? We're going to span and close off these ends here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my point selection tool, deselect everything. I'm going to select this top point, and I'm going to right click and choose bridge. And I'm going to click, now we want these outermost corners. Let me get in so you can see. These outermost corners on the top. Not, there's two. You want that top one, not the bottom one. Right, see here's one right here. On each side, we need to get both of these. So while we've got that top one selected, I'm going to click and drag, and hopefully we'll get the right one. Looks like I did. And then I'm going to click and drag from there to that one. Okay, so now we've closed off that. Everything looks good. I'm going to rotate around to this back side. Same way. We'll get our top one. Let me undo that. You need to go back to your live selection tool, deselect everything, then go back into your point selection tool, select that top one, and at this point activate your bridge. Alright, so we're going to click and drag to that top one, click and drag to this top one on the end, and now we've closed that off. So we've got our soffits, we've got our ends of our home, we've got our peak for our roof, we've got part of our driveway started, our concrete area out front here. So I'm going to go back to select my live selection tool, go back into object mode, live selection tool. That thing can be stubborn sometimes. Okay, so we're back at this point. Now we need to create an opening in our garage. So I'm going to select my face selection tool, select that face, and again I'm going to try to see if my knife tool will work for me here, and it looks like it will. That knife selection tool or the knife tool can be finicky. You can see how it gets wicked weird on you and wraps around and does some weird stuff. We just want to cut this building, this wall, and from about a foot. Let's see if it's going to work for me. And see, it's not cooperating. It is depending on some angles I'm at, but it's like right about there. That's about good. You want to be about a foot and a half, 2 feet off the edge corner of that building. So that's going to work for me. I'm going to click that, insert a line, and I'm going to do the same thing right over here. If I can get it to come into effect for me. Something about like that. You see what we got there? We're about a foot and a half or 2 foot off the edge corner of that building. How it would relate in real life. Now we're going to do one more thing. We're going to do it up top, same way, but we're going to go horizontally. This is kind of the support that would support that ceiling and the roof. We're going to click right there and insert another cut. You can see what we've got. Alright, so now let's take our selection tool, deselect everything. We're going to select the center face that we've created. Now this you can do a couple of ways. I'm going to have the garage appear that it's open. You could do part of what I'm going to do here and have it appear that the door on the garage is down and texture it later if you chose to. But once you've got that face selected, press Control, and we're going to take and drag it inward about 6 or 8 inches in real world size. And you see what we've got there. We've extruded that to some degree. Now you could leave that and texture this with a garage door texture. But me, I'm going to delete it. So while it's selected, I'm just going to hit delete on my keyboard. So that opens up my garage. Okay. Got an open garage now. Now, let's go ahead and get a quick render of that to see what we've got. And I'd just like to look at it from a couple angles to see if anything weird's going on. And it looks like I'm going to extend my garage floor all the way in so everything's level. There's a little weirdness going on here, and that's just because there's no surfaces on the top where we remove that garage door. So what I'm going to do to remedy that is I'm going to select this face, or this line, my line selection tool. See? I don't need them both, I just need that top one. While it's selected, I'm going to click or hold down Control, and I'm going to drag that all the way back to that back wall. Let me go back inside here where we can look. I stopped short of that wall. And right at this point, we're going to just pull that in so that it intersects that back wall. Something about like that. I'm going to back out. I'm going to go outside, see if I went through it. And I'm real close. There's through. I'm going to back in a touch. So I'm good there. So I've got a floor. Now this carport area, let me deselect everything. Go back in the live selection tool and in object mode. So now I've got a floor on my garage that is all the same material, and it would be mean for an easy entrance into this building from outdoors. Now let's take a look in here. Let's go inside. I'm going to drop a light in here just so I can look at things. So I've got my inner ceiling. I've got these supports that provide an inner area. What I've got here is I've got a surface intersecting, but I can take, I think that'll be okay. If I render that out, it seems to be okay. Yep, looks good. So at this point, I can even take it a little step further, as I can put in a window on this back wall if I want to. I'm going to delete that light. It makes things a little easier to see. I'm going to select this face, just a face. I'm going to right click and choose my knife tool, and I can see again if my loop selection is going to work for me, and it looks like it will. Okay, so I'm going to click about right here. I'm going to go over about an equal distance, and I'm going to click right here. I've made 2 cuts. Now if you put cuts in the wrong spot, there's a way you can move those guys. Select your lines, right? And you can just simply move them this direction here, or you could right click and there's a slide option right here, and that slide will let you just move them the same way. So a couple ways to skin that cat. I'm going to move this line over maybe a little bit more towards the center, something like that. Rotate around, make sure I've not created anything weird. Alright, now at this point I'm going to select this interface that we've made, and again I'm going to try my knife tool, right click knife, and see if that works for me here. And it's wanting to cut more than what I want to do, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that knife to line mode, and I'm just going to do one of these guys and get that window approximately the size that I'd like to see it. So there's that. Now what do we need to do here? There's a couple things we can do. We can deselect everything, select that face that's representative of where the window's going to be. Control click and drag that in a touch. Just a touch. Something about like that. Now, I think everything looks good. But what I'm going to do is while that's selected, I'm going to hit delete. Whoops, didn't want to delete that much. Just that face. And go back into model mode. Select just this face. Hit delete. And it deletes that face out of there for me. And leaves a nice little opening. Let me render that out, make sure everything's good. See if we're got our faces happening here. Okay. You could leave it like that. Maybe you've built a barn and a glass window's not necessary. But I'm going to take it one little step further. We're going to select this face, this interface, and we're going to use our knife tool. Right click, knife. And I'm going to try loop again, see if it works. It's being finicky, so I'm just going to go back to line. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get in an angle where I can view this properly. And I'm going to split that out, just like you see. Alright, I'm going to take my edge selection tool. I'm going to select just that edge. Just the edge. And then I'm going to control click. And I'm going to drag that. Control click, drag, so that it intersects that edge. And now I've got a whole separate surface that's recessed in that window jamb. Get in here and look at it. It's recessed in that window jamb, so that we can now texture that with its own material. For example, we give that glass. We might give this a old wood texture, bricks or blocks or something, of paneling, anything like that. And so if we go back into object mode, you'll see now that we've got us a relatively simple structure, complete structure, low polygon count, ready to texture, made completely from one cube. You can take it even one step further if you like. You can take and, because for realism and realism counts, and you can do this without adding much overhead in regards to polygons. Let's select to go back into model mode. I'm going to select this edge right there. We just want one of them, just that one. And what can happen here is we can take and modify how that rotates. Your axis modification tool. We're going to rotate this guy. We're not rotating the surface, we're just rotating how it rotates. So it looks about 30 degrees, possibly. It may need to go more. Something about like that. Disable your axis modification tool. What I'm going to do is I'm going to align this blue rotational axis with the direction of the roof. So I'm going to select my axis modification tool, and I'm going to make sure I've got just that one selected. Okay, I've got green angled with the pitch of the roof. Disable your axis modification tool. At this point we can move by control clicking, extend that out. That way we've got just a hair of an overhang that would be representative of shingles. If you ever look at a house, you'll see that the shingles overhang the roof, and that the soffit overhangs the wall, and that this roof overhangs the soffit. So I'll select this one here. I'm going to modify its rotational axis so that my green plane lines up with my roof approximately, and that's pretty good. And then I'm going to disable the axis modification tool, select my move tool, control click outward just a little bit, so that now I've got my shingles again. Let me disable my selection, go back into object mode, so that you can see those shingles overhang the roof just by a touch. See right here, it's a little more obvious. So that's it. If you like my channel, please subscribe, and if you want to see more in the future, check back. I'm always updating After Effects, Sony Vegas, Windows Mac tips, tricks, and various Cinema 4D lessons and exercises. So talk to you later. Bye-bye.